Captain Matt here with Captain's Quarters First Class, podcast from the Lighting Trade School. Today we're going to talk about charging $240 a fixture. What? Anyway, that's a little teaser of some of the things I'm going to get into today. Lightingtradeschool.com. That is who I'm under here on this podcast. They're sponsoring it. This is for me to do my thing and kind of hop on here where I talk about all things outdoor lighting, landscape lighting, permanent soffit lighting, and Christmas lighting. I do it all. I've done it all. I still do it all all day, every day. Just got a quote for a commercial Christmas client I'm going out to later this week. So that's exciting. A couple of those. So if you're not, right now I'm recording this, it's May. You should be reaching out to your commercial Christmas clients to start setting that up because those take some real budgets and some real board members. It's a whole process, and I know that. So I just started talking about $240 a fixture. Why the hell am I talking about that? Well, I do pricing a little different right now. Pricing per fixture when it comes to landscape lighting is a great way to be able to do quotes super fast, right? You charge this much, you won't lose. Charge 300, 400, 500, 600. I know I won't lose. But I like to, I know my daily operating, all the guys that work with me on Captain Matt Outdoors, I have a mentoring program. All the guys that are, applied and accepted, they know that we come up with these. There's a sheet that I use and we come up with your daily operating number. And that's basically if I sum that up super quick, let's say you have to spend $400,000 to stay operational a year and you're working 200 days a year. Well, you now know that you need to cover that $400,000, not in 365 days, but in 200 days. So on those 200 days that you're working, how much money do you need to make to really break even before you start making profit? So I'm able to look at each job knowing that, the average guy in landscape lighting is going to do 2 fixtures an hour. So if you have 2-man crew, I can figure on 4 fixtures an hour. Normal stuff, not the trick stuff, right? So if we're on the ground, maybe in a tree a little bit, but no ladders, no extreme wire hiding on brick or siding, things like that. I know it's about 2 lights an hour on average from start to finish, including power supply and all that. On this job that I didn't even realize I charged $240 a fixture until yesterday. We have this running thing because when Shane Duffy, one of the other co-founders of the Lighting Trade School, posted in our Facebook group, the Illuminati Lounge Club, he posted that he had charged $275 a fixture on this one job. And somebody had mentioned, you go broke at $275 a fixture. So that's kind of like our running thing. You're going to go broke at $275 a fixture. But that's just not the case. But we know our numbers, right? So on this job, I would normally, I'm gonna look at my notes here so I don't mess it up. The job I'm talking about was 25 fixtures. It took under 6 hours from the time we left the house to the time we got back. And so $6,000 is what I charged the client. It was 25 fixtures. And we did that 6 hours payroll. So for my cost, materials, labor, all that, I'm at $2,940. That gives me a gross profit of $3,060 and then a net of about $1,310. So I charged $240 a fixture. I'm going to redo that math because it just doesn't seem right? Because I know that you'll go bankrupt at $275 a fixture, right? According to Facebook. So 6,000 divided by 25 is 240. I made over $1,000 profit that day at $240 a fixture. Let that sink in. Now that's 25 fixtures, right? Well, that doesn't work at 10 fixtures. It doesn't work at 12 fixtures. I doubt it even works at 15 fixtures, right? My point is that you can get so stuck on a per fixture rate. I didn't even know what I was charging per fixture. That's not how I'm pricing my jobs. It's a great way, again, to get started kind of until you really know your numbers. It's a great way to make sure you don't lose, is to do a per fixture, super easy. But I'm doing, now this one was only 25 fixtures, right? It'll become more. There's a client that, it literally was May 2022 when we started talking. The first time he told me no on landscape lighting. We've been talking, following up ever since. If I didn't follow up, I wouldn't have got this job. It's been 3 years since he initially reached out for landscape lighting. 3 years. 3 years. Let that sink in. So I always tell guys, don't ever stop pursuing people that tell you the no for now. I think we talked about that last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. I really want to encourage everyone, to find out your daily operating number. If you don't know how to do that, you can apply at Captain Man Outdoors. And, if I have any spots, whatever, maybe we can talk. But it is super important. I can be super stupid competitive, even though I'm the best designer. I can be super stupid competitive, even though we do the trickiest installs. Now, again, I would not be at 240 if we're running second story lights and we're doing all this trick stuff with copper pipe and everything. This stuff was all on the ground. It wasn't easy. It was 2 different power supplies. It covered, the front and side of his house, a statue, things like that. Know your numbers, because I can charge, knowing what my materials are going to cost, knowing what my labor ballpark is going to cost, and knowing what my daily operating number is. I can know this is my true break-even point of this job. Now, do I want to make $1,000 a day, $2,000 a day, $10,000 a day, whatever that number is? I guess there's no right or wrong there. It's what you want, but I'm able to come up with a number that really blows out. It doesn't matter what it is per fixture. Right now, if we look at me doing that same thing on like a 15, I don't know if I've done 15, but 15, 20 light install, even those 5 extra fixtures makes a big difference because of the power supplies. And this one had 2 power supplies. So, but if you look at it, if I did that same thing on a 15 fixture install, I might be at 350, 400 a light. The point is don't get stuck on just doing per fixture. I know on Facebook and across all the chat rooms, that's not a thing anymore. AOL, we can get so stuck on, I charge 400 a fixture. I charge 500 a fixture. I charge 600 a fixture. Charge more. My counter to that is so many people are raising their prices because they're losing money because they don't know what their fucking numbers are. If you know what your daily operating number is and you know your pricing on labor and you know your pricing on materials, you shouldn't need to necessarily worry about a per fixture rate. How fast is your team? How efficient is your team? How much is your materials? How much is your daily operating? I promise you, most of the guys that I talk to, if they did that same job and pulled it off in the same amount of time that I did, their gross profit and everything, or their net profit, would be a lot more than mine because they don't have the same overhead, right? I'm about $1,700 to $1,800 a day. So you could have even come and done that job at $5,000 and still made $1,000 in profit. So let's kind of ignore just the per fixture rate. Now, I know it's a super easy thing to kind of benchmark, to kind of see where you're at, see what other people are at. But if you're looking to do badass jobs, this one's only 25 fixtures, right? We do 100, 200, 300 fixture. I'm quoting out this 396 fixture one right now. You have to know your numbers rather than a per fixture thing, because and I learned this when, I was at like $400, $500, $600 fixture. This was before I was doing daily operating. I just knew okay, I'm making money at that. It's great. But when I would price 100 fixture job, let's just call it 40,000, maybe $40,000 on my base tier. Well, if I come in at $250 a fixture, I'm at $25,000 for that same project. That's a huge, massive difference in price. Now, could I and do I land them at that rate? Yes. But could I land more, right, at the 25,000 for 100 fixtures and just do 100, 200, 300, 400 fixture like installs and not worry about anything else? Would I get more? Would it be easier to close 10 jobs at 25,000 rather than 2 jobs at 40,000, or 3 jobs, I guess, at 40,000? It's something that you should really explore. I don't think there's a right, there's not a wrong. Some guys love to target 20 light jobs, 15 light jobs. The thing is there's so much argument about, I do this, so you should. Now, sometimes that is a true argument because you're doing it wrong, but there's a business model for that. There's a business model for the slamming the lights in the ground in front of the house and moving on to the next. It's not a wrong business model. It's not what I do. It's not really a lighting designer at that point. Yeah, there's some design, but we all know anybody can pretty much figure out how to uplight the front of a home. great business model. You do one or two of those a day, every day, 5 days a week. You are making money. You are happy. You're enjoying everything. And if you could add on maintenance to that, to those, I don't know. Most of the guys doing that don't do maintenance. They only do maintenance calls or really fixed requests. That's a business model that can work. You got to get out there. You got to grind. You got to get, 10 closes a week, 5 to 10 closes a week, every single week. It's a business model. It can work. Or you can target only 100 fixture jobs, 200 fixture jobs, or maybe you want to target 40 fixture jobs. There's nothing wrong. You have to I see too often where guys who are doing the 10 to 12 light jobs, are in there screaming at their lighting designers because once in a while they'll get a 40 light job. Don't pretend to be a lighting designer if you're just focusing on those 10 to 12 light jobs. Like this isn't a slap in the face or a snob or whatever, a snob, or anything against you. It's just is what it is. Own who you are and do it super well. And do 3 jobs a day at 10 fixtures. Who cares? It's your life, your money. You have to feed yourself. You have to feed your family. So I really want to encourage guys. I talk to so many new guys, and that's always the point of the initial thing is I don't know how much to charge per fixture. And it's driving me nuts because what I have to charge per fixture and what you have to charge per fixture is going to be different. How fast your team is going to be different. How fast my team is. What your average install fixtures is going to be different. Now, we take the reason why the scale matters of doing the same amount of fixtures on the job, right? The same property, if you will, why you can come down for fixtures is because the power supply, the power driver, the transformer, there's a cost associated with that. Let's call it $500. It's typically, what the ones I use, about $500, maybe a little bit less, whatever. Let's start $500. Well, then that $500 is spread out over 25, 30, 40, 50 lights is different than that $500 spread out over 10. That's why it is important to know your numbers, because then you're not, if you're at $300 a fixture and you sell a 10 fixture job, but your power supply is 500, are you making money? Maybe not. So I know there's a lot of guys that charge an additional line item for the power supply. Cool. That works. That works too. But just don't, my biggest thing, and I see it made so many mistakes and guys that just quit. If you focus on just a per fixture rate, you're not considering everything. You won't know if you make money. I've seen so many guys charging per fixture. They're doing jobs and they end up going out of business because they're not making money because they forget about all of the costs involved. Is that you? Know your numbers. Know your annual numbers. Know your monthly numbers. Know your daily numbers. Money Mondays. Pick a day every week where you sit down and you spend a half hour to an hour going through your numbers and your money, your payables, your receivables, who owes you money, who you owe money, different bank accounts. If you do Profit First, great book, suggest reading it. You can make different bank accounts to kind of bucket your monies in different times. Well, you can at least spend 1 day a week where you're updating everything, what's in the bank accounts, what's in your war chest, what's coming up. I have a little playground calculator I use. Like if I want to hire somebody new, what happens, how many months are covered total if I don't sell another job right now in this moment? Am I 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 16 months away from business closing if I sell no work from this point on? And I love that because it always gives me a quick pulse. And so every day when I'm opening up this up, I spend that 1 day a week, Money Mondays, updating it, looking at it. But the rest of the time I can quick pull it up and look at it and have a quick gauge where I'm at. Okay. Do I need to buy this tool? This tool is, 2,500. I look, you know what? It's probably not the right time. I'll wait until the war chest builds up or the, tool funds build up, whatever the case might be. But I know that because I'm constantly looking at it. So many guys just have one bank account. They look at, they don't even consider if they owe somebody money. They don't consider if people owe them money. And they don't consider what their monthly even, services are in terms of Google, Gmail, website, calls, marketing, whatever you're paying for. We're all paying for a whole bunch of shit every month. That's like a reoccurring subscription. And so it's easy to look at your bank account, think you have more money than you do, right? I saw this once where I should say more than once. It took me a few times to learn my lesson. I have like 20,000 in the bank for operating. I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. So then I make a decision to, buy a new truck, buy a new van, right? Or spend 5,000 here, spend 5,000 there. And then I forget that I wrote a check. I wrote a couple checks. And then all of a sudden I go from 20 grand, make a purchase for 5 grand down to 15 grand. And then someone cashes 12 grand's worth of checks. So I went from thinking I was super healthy to having a couple grand. Like, oh my God, what just happened? Right. I set myself up for failure there. And that's why with the Profit First, I do it. I have a payables account. So anytime I'm going to write a check, I withdraw it from my main account. Let's just pretend it's $1,000. I pay somebody $1,000. I take $1,000 out of my main account. I put it into my payables checking account and I write a check. That way, when I look at that payables account, I don't care if there's $0 in it or $1 million in it. I know that there's actually $0 in it because every dollar in the payables account is already spoken for, whether that's from, if you do an ACH transfer and it's going to take a day or two or 3 or 4, put it into payables. That way you don't look at your checking account or your normal business account and think you have money that isn't already spoken for, right? So it's easy to forget that there's money spoken for. So read Profit First, check it out, create some different accounts, really hammer into your daily operating numbers, know your numbers across the board so that you can price jobs where it doesn't matter what you are per fixture. It matters, are you making money every day? The money that you want, the money to change your life. You making it or you're not? I don't care what you are per fixture. At the end of the day, the net profit only cares about what it costs you to run your business and what it took to do that job. You can make $3,000 off of one job and still lose money because of what you're spending on the back end, where you're only looking at a specific job. Looking at the gross profit of a specific job, you can really kill your business because you're not looking at the net and you're not planning ahead. You're not managing your money. All right. Well, there you go. There's Captain's Quarters First Class podcast from Lighting Trade School. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this bad boy up. I hope you all have a great week and I'll talk to you soon.